What if I told you that achieving the impossible isn't magic? It's science. What if greatness wasn't reserved for a chosen few, but something you could learn? Welcome to The Art of Impossible by Steven Kotler, a book that reveals the secrets of peak performance. This book is not just about motivation. It's about using real science to unlock your full potential. Whether you want to become the best in your field, push beyond limits, or simply achieve more in life, Kotler's research-backed methods can help. In this audiobook, we'll explore how motivation, learning, creativity, and flow come together to make the impossible possible. Step by step, we'll uncover practical tools to help you perform at your absolute best. To achieve the impossible, we first need to understand peak performance. But what is peak performance? It's when you operate at your highest level, when you're fully focused, energized, and performing beyond your normal abilities. Steven Kotler says that peak performance is not something people are born with, it's something anyone can develop. The secret? A combination of 4 things: motivation, learning, creativity, and flow. Think of it like a staircase. Motivation helps you take the first step. It gets you started. Learning helps you climb higher by gaining new knowledge. Creativity helps you find new solutions and ideas. And flow, that state where time disappears and you're completely in the zone, helps you perform at your absolute best. When all 4 come together, you don't just improve, you achieve things that once seemed impossible. And the best part? There's a system to make this happen. Now we'll explore the first step: how to build unstoppable motivation. Stay with me. Motivation is the starting point of everything. Without it, we don't take action. Without action, we don't grow. But motivation isn't just about feeling excited for a moment. It's about learning how to keep going, even when things get hard. Steven Kotler explains that motivation works like fuel. If you have the right kind of fuel, you can go further and faster. But if you run out, you stop. So, the key is knowing how to create motivation that lasts. There are 3 main types of motivation: extrinsic motivation, intrinsic motivation, and purpose-driven motivation. Extrinsic motivation is when we do things for rewards. Money, trophies, or social approval, these things push us to work harder. But the problem is, extrinsic motivation doesn't last. Once we get the reward, our drive fades. That's why people who chase only money or status often feel empty after achieving their goals. Intrinsic motivation, on the other hand, comes from inside us. It's when we do something because we love it, because it excites us, or because it makes us curious. This kind of motivation is much stronger. When we enjoy what we're doing, we don't need someone else to push us. We push ourselves. The third type is purpose-driven motivation. This is the most powerful. When we connect our work to something bigger than ourselves, we gain endless energy. People who feel a deep sense of purpose, whether in their careers, relationships, or personal goals, don't quit when things get tough. They have a reason to keep going. So, how do we use this knowledge to build unstoppable motivation? First, we need to find what excites us. This is called our curiosity compass. Pay attention to the things that make you feel alive. What do you naturally enjoy learning about? What topics or activities make time fly? These are signs of intrinsic motivation. Once we find our interests, we need to set clear goals. But not just any goals that challenge us. Steven Kotler says the best goals are ones that push us about 4% beyond our current ability. This is just enough to keep us engaged without feeling overwhelmed. Finally, we need to connect our goals to a bigger purpose. Ask yourself, how does my work help others? How does it make the world better? Even small connections to purpose can increase motivation. Studies show that people who feel their work has meaning perform better and stay motivated longer. Motivation isn't something we have, it's something we create. By finding our interests, setting the right goals, and connecting to a bigger purpose, we can build motivation that doesn't fade. Now, we'll explore how to turn motivation into real progress by mastering the art of learning. Motivation helps us start, but learning helps us move forward. If we want to achieve the impossible, we have to keep growing, improving, and gaining new skills. But learning is not just about memorizing facts. It's about knowing how to absorb knowledge in a way that makes us better, faster, and more efficient. Steven Kotler explains that learning follows a clear process. The better we understand this process, the faster we can improve. There are 3 key steps to mastering any new skill or subject: information intake, deep practice, and reflection. The first step is information intake. This means collecting knowledge in the right way. Most people think reading books or watching videos is enough. But simply exposing ourselves to information isn't enough to learn. The brain needs to interact with the information to remember it. One of the best ways to do this is through active learning. Active learning means engaging with the material, not just passively listening or reading. Asking questions, summarizing key ideas, and teaching others helps our brain process the information better. Studies show that when we teach what we learn, we remember it longer. So, instead of just reading a book, take notes in your own words. Instead of just watching a video, discuss it with someone. The more you engage, the better you learn. The second step is deep practice. This is where real progress happens. Deep practice means breaking a skill into smaller parts and repeating it with full focus. It's not about doing something over and over again without thinking. It's about practicing in a way that challenges the brain. A famous study on expert performers found that top athletes, musicians, and scientists don't just practice more than others, they practice differently. They focus on their weak areas, push themselves just beyond their comfort zone, and correct mistakes immediately. This is called deliberate practice. For example, if you want to get better at writing, don't just write randomly. Focus on improving one specific part, like sentence structure or storytelling. If you want to get better at playing an instrument, don't just play the same song again and again. Slow it down, fix small mistakes, and gradually increase speed. This method helps the brain build stronger connections, making learning faster and more effective. The third step is reflection. This is the part most people skip, but it's just as important as practice. Reflection means looking back at what we learned, understanding what worked, and thinking about how to improve. Without reflection, we don't know what to change, and we risk making the same mistakes over and over again. One of the best ways to reflect is by asking simple questions. What did I learn today? What mistakes did I make? How can I improve tomorrow? Keeping a learning journal or talking about progress with a mentor or friend can make a big difference. The combination of active learning, deep practice, and reflection is the secret to mastering any skill. People who learn this way improve much faster than those who rely on passive methods. But learning isn't just about gaining knowledge. It's also about using that knowledge creatively. In the next part, we'll explore how to develop creativity, the skill that turns knowledge into innovation. Unlocking creativity. Learning helps us gather knowledge, but creativity helps us use that knowledge in new and powerful ways. Creativity is not just about art or music. It is about thinking differently, solving problems, and finding new ideas. Whether you are an entrepreneur, a scientist, an athlete, or a student, creativity is what helps you stand out and achieve extraordinary results. Steven Kotler explains that creativity is a skill, not a talent. Some people think they are either born creative or not, but that is not true. Just like motivation and learning, creativity can be trained. The key is to understand how the brain creates new ideas and then use methods that improve this process. The brain generates creativity by making connections between different pieces of information. It takes what we already know and combines it in new ways. This is why the most creative people are also the ones who are always learning. The more knowledge you have, the more material your brain has to work with. That is why the first step to unlocking creativity is curiosity. Curiosity is the foundation of creativity. When you are curious, you naturally explore new ideas, ask questions, and seek answers. This builds a rich library of knowledge in your mind. The best way to increase curiosity is to expose yourself to different fields of knowledge. If you are a scientist, learn about art. If you are a writer, study psychology. If you are an athlete, read about business strategies. The more diverse your knowledge, the more creative connections your brain can make. The second step is allowing the brain to relax. Creativity does not happen when we are forcing ourselves to think of new ideas. It happens when we let our minds wander. Have you ever noticed that your best ideas come when you are in the shower, taking a walk, or just before falling asleep? This is because the brain needs downtime to process information. When you stop actively thinking about a problem, your subconscious mind takes over and finds connections that your conscious mind missed. One of the best ways to boost creativity is through activities that relax the mind. Meditation, exercise, listening to music, or even daydreaming can give the brain the space it needs to form new ideas. This is why some of the greatest minds in history, like Albert Einstein and Leonardo da Vinci, often took long walks or spent time doing activities unrelated to their work. The third step is practicing divergent thinking. Divergent thinking is the ability to come up with multiple solutions to a problem. Most people only look for one correct answer, but creative thinkers generate many possible answers before choosing the best one. To develop divergent thinking, try brainstorming without limits. Set a timer for 5 minutes and write down as many ideas as possible. Even if they seem silly, quantity leads to quality because the more ideas you have, the higher the chance that one of them will be truly original. Another method is to use analogies. Compare your problem to something unrelated and see what new insights you can find. For example, if you are trying to design a new product, ask yourself, how would nature solve this problem? Nature has been solving complex problems for millions of years, and many great inventions have been inspired by it. The fourth step is combining different ideas. Innovation happens when we bring together concepts that do not usually belong together. Some of the greatest inventions in history came from combining knowledge from different fields. For example, the idea for Velcro came from a man who noticed how burrs stuck to his dog's fur. The invention of the touchscreen was inspired by the way musical instruments respond to touch. The more we mix ideas from different areas, the more likely we are to create something new. Finally, creativity thrives in an environment that encourages risk-taking and experimentation. Fear of failure is one of the biggest obstacles to creativity. Many people do not try new things because they are afraid of making mistakes or looking foolish. But the truth is, failure is a necessary part of the creative process. Every great inventor, artist, and thinker has failed many times before succeeding. Thomas Edison famously said that he did not fail 10,000 times when inventing the light bulb. He simply found 10,000 ways that did not work. To become more creative, you must give yourself permission to experiment and fail. Treat every idea as a learning experience. Keep a journal where you record your creative thoughts, even if they seem unimportant. Many ideas that seem small at first can grow into something big later. Creativity is not a special gift that only some people have. It is a skill that anyone can develop with the right mindset and habits. By feeding your curiosity, giving your brain time to relax, practicing divergent thinking, combining ideas, and embracing failure, you can unlock your creative potential and find solutions that others miss. But creativity alone is not enough to achieve the impossible. To truly perform at your highest level, you need to enter a state where time disappears, focus sharpens, and you perform better than ever before. This state is called flow. In the next part, we will explore the science of flow and how you can use it to reach peak performance. The science of flow, unlocking peak performance. Creativity helps us generate new ideas, but to turn those ideas into reality, we need something more. We need focus, energy, and the ability to perform at our very best. This is where flow comes in. Flow is a state of complete immersion in an activity. It is when time seems to slow down, distractions disappear, and everything feels effortless. Athletes call it being in the zone. Artists describe it as getting lost in the work. Scientists and engineers experience it when solving complex problems. No matter what field you are in, flow is the key to reaching peak performance. Steven Kotler explains that flow is not random. It follows a predictable pattern, and if we understand how it works, we can enter this state more often. Flow happens when certain conditions are met. The better we design our work and environment, the easier it is to get into flow and stay there. The first condition for flow is clear goals. The brain needs to know exactly what it is trying to achieve. If a task is too vague, it is hard to focus. But if we set clear, specific goals, the brain knows where to direct its energy. A good goal should be challenging but not impossible. If it is too easy, we get bored. If it is too hard, we get frustrated. The sweet spot is a goal that pushes us just beyond our comfort zone, about 4% harder than what we are used to. This keeps us engaged without overwhelming us. The second condition is immediate feedback. Flow thrives on quick results. If we do not know whether we are making progress, our brain loses interest. This is why video games are so addictive. They provide instant feedback. Every time a player scores points or completes a level, the brain releases dopamine, which keeps motivation high. In real life, we can create feedback loops by breaking big tasks into smaller steps and tracking our progress. Keeping a journal, using checklists, or even timing ourselves can help maintain focus and drive. The third condition is deep concentration. Flow requires full attention. If we are constantly switching between tasks or getting distracted, we cannot enter flow. Studies show that every time we check our phone or email, it takes about 25 minutes to regain full concentration. This is why top performers create distraction-free environments. They turn off notifications, set aside specific time blocks for deep work, and use techniques like the Pomodoro method to stay focused. Another way to improve concentration is through mindfulness and meditation. Training the mind to focus on one thing at a time strengthens our ability to enter flow. Even just a few minutes of deep breathing or mindful awareness each day can make a big difference. The fourth condition is risk and challenge. Flow often happens when we push ourselves beyond our usual limits. This does not mean taking extreme risks, but it does mean stepping into situations that require growth. Athletes enter flow when they compete at the edge of their ability. Writers and musicians experience it when they attempt something they have never done before. Scientists find it when solving problems that have never been solved. The key is to find the right balance between skill and challenge. If a task is too easy, there is no excitement. If it is too hard, there is too much fear. The ideal challenge level keeps us engaged, focused, and slightly stretched beyond what we already know. The fifth condition is intrinsic motivation. Flow is easier to access when we care deeply about what we are doing. If an activity feels forced or meaningless, it is hard to get into flow. But when we are passionate about something, the brain naturally focuses better. This is why people who love their work often experience flow more often than those who see their work as just a job. One way to increase intrinsic motivation is to connect work to a bigger purpose. Ask yourself, Why does this task matter? How does it contribute to something meaningful? Even small tasks can become more engaging when we see how they fit into a larger goal. When all these conditions come together, clear goals, immediate feedback, deep concentration, challenge, and motivation, flow happens naturally. In this state, the brain releases a powerful mix of chemicals: dopamine, norepinephrine, endorphins, and anandamide. These chemicals enhance focus, boost creativity, and make us feel incredible. The more we practice entering flow, the easier it becomes. Over time, we can train ourselves to get into this state faster and stay there longer. This is why elite athletes, top business leaders, and world-class performers design their lives around flow. It is the ultimate state of peak performance. But flow is not just about work. It can also improve our happiness and well-being. People who experience flow regularly report higher life satisfaction, better relationships, and a deeper sense of purpose. Now, we will explore how to design daily routines that make flow a regular part of life, so you can consistently perform at your highest level. Designing your life for flow. Now that we understand what flow is and what conditions help us enter this state, the next step is to design our daily life in a way that makes flow a regular experience. Flow is not something that happens by accident. It is something we can create intentionally with the right habits, routines, and mindset. Most people think that peak performance requires willpower and discipline alone, but the truth is, environment and structure matter just as much. If we design our days correctly, flow becomes a natural part of our routine. We do not have to force it. Instead, it happens effortlessly, allowing us to get more done in less time while feeling energized and fulfilled. The first key to designing life for flow is to schedule deep work. Flow does not happen when we are constantly multitasking, checking notifications, or responding to messages. It requires uninterrupted focus. That is why the most successful people in the world block out dedicated time for deep work, periods when they turn off distractions and focus completely on one task. A simple way to do this is to set aside 90-minute blocks of time for important work. Studies show that the brain works best in cycles of about 90 minutes. After that, mental energy drops and productivity decreases. This is why many high performers, from writers to musicians to CEOs, organize their work into 90-minute sessions, followed by a short break. During these deep work sessions, it is important to remove all distractions. This means turning off phone notifications, closing unnecessary browser tabs, and letting others know not to disturb you. Some people use noise-canceling headphones or listen to instrumental music to stay focused. Others work in a quiet space with no interruptions. The second key to designing for flow is having a pre-work ritual. The brain loves patterns. If we do the same thing before starting deep work every day, the brain learns to associate that routine with focus and productivity. A good pre-work ritual could be as simple as making a cup of coffee, meditating for a few minutes, stretching, or reviewing a to-do list. The goal is to signal to the brain that it is time to focus. Over time, this habit makes it easier to enter flow quickly. The third key is setting clear and achievable goals. Flow thrives on clarity. If we start work without knowing exactly what we are trying to accomplish, the brain becomes confused and distracted. That is why it is important to define goals before beginning a deep work session. A good practice is to break big tasks into smaller steps. Instead of saying, "I will write a book," say, "I will write 500 words in the next 90 minutes. Instead of saying, "I will build a website," say, "I will design the homepage layout today." Small, specific goals keep the brain engaged and focused. The fourth key to flow is managing energy, not just time. Many people schedule their day based on the clock, but peak performers schedule their work based on their natural energy levels. They understand that the brain is not equally productive at all times of the day. For most people, energy is highest in the morning. This is the best time for deep work and problem solving. In the afternoon, energy drops, making it a better time for routine tasks like answering emails or attending meetings. In the evening, energy can return for creative activities like brainstorming or journaling. By aligning work with natural energy cycles, we can get more done with less effort. A good way to track energy levels is to keep a journal for a few days and note when focus is strongest. Once we know our peak hours, we can schedule the most important work during those times. The fifth key to flow is taking smart breaks. Many people think that working longer hours leads to more productivity, but research shows that taking regular breaks actually improves performance. The brain needs rest to stay sharp. If we push ourselves too hard without breaks, mental fatigue sets in and creativity drops. A simple and effective method is the 90-20 rule. Work deeply for 90 minutes, then take a 20-minute break. During the break, step away from screens, go for a walk, stretch, or do something enjoyable. This refreshes the brain and makes it easier to enter flow again in the next session. Another powerful technique is active recovery. Instead of scrolling social media or watching TV during breaks, choose activities that restore energy. Meditation, light exercise, deep breathing, or listening to calming music can all help reset the brain. The sixth key is using rewards to reinforce flow. The brain loves rewards. When we celebrate small wins, dopamine is released, which increases motivation and makes it easier to enter flow again. A simple way to use this is to reward yourself after completing a deep work session. This could be a short walk, a piece of chocolate, listening to a favorite song, or anything enjoyable. Over time, this creates a positive feedback loop, making work feel more satisfying and engaging. The seventh and final key to designing for flow is prioritizing sleep and recovery. Many people underestimate how much rest affects performance. Sleep is when the brain processes information, consolidates memories, and restores energy. Without enough sleep, focus, creativity, and motivation all suffer. Top performers treat sleep as a key part of their success. They stick to regular sleep schedules, avoid screens before bedtime, and create relaxing evening routines. Simple habits like dimming lights at night, reading a book, or listening to soothing sounds can all improve sleep quality. When we combine all these elements, deep work sessions, pre-work rituals, clear goals, energy management, smart breaks, rewards, and quality sleep, flow becomes a natural part of life. Instead of struggling with motivation and distractions, work feels effortless and engaging. But flow is not just about productivity. It also improves well-being and happiness. People who experience flow regularly report feeling more satisfied with their lives, more confident in their abilities, and more connected to their work. Next, we will explore how to apply flow not just to work, but to every area of life, including relationships, hobbies, and personal growth. Flow is not just a tool for peak performance. It is a way to live a more fulfilling and meaningful life. Applying flow to everyday life. Flow is not just for work or creative projects. It can be a part of every area of life, our relationships, hobbies, personal growth, and even daily routines. When we understand how to bring flow into different activities, life becomes more engaging, enjoyable, and meaningful. One of the most powerful ways to apply flow outside of work is in learning. Many people struggle with learning new skills because they find the process boring or frustrating. But when we apply flow principles, learning becomes exciting and effortless. The first step is choosing the right challenge level. If something is too easy, we get bored. If it is too hard, we get frustrated. Flow happens when a task is just slightly beyond our current skill level. This keeps us engaged and motivated. For example, if you are learning a new language, do not start with complicated grammar rules. Instead, focus on simple conversations that challenge you just enough to stay interested. If you are learning a musical instrument, do not try to play an advanced song right away. Start with something just difficult enough to push your limits without feeling impossible. Another way to create flow in learning is through immediate feedback. The brain thrives on knowing whether it is improving. This is why video games are so addictive. They give instant feedback through scores, levels, and rewards. We can apply this to real life by tracking our progress. If you are learning to draw, keep a sketchbook to see your improvement over time. If you are practicing a sport, record your performance and compare it week by week. Seeing progress keeps motivation high and makes learning enjoyable. Flow can also be applied to hobbies and leisure activities. Many people spend their free time passively, watching TV or scrolling social media. But these activities do not create flow because they do not require active engagement. Instead, hobbies that challenge us and require skill are more likely to bring flow. Activities like painting, playing an instrument, writing, gardening, or even cooking can create deep engagement if we approach them with the right mindset. For example, cooking can become a flow experience if you treat it as a creative challenge. Experimenting with new recipes, refining your techniques, and paying attention to details. The same applies to fitness. Running, yoga, or weightlifting can become flow activities when you focus completely on the movements, track your progress, and push yourself just beyond your limits. Relationships can also benefit from flow. Many people think of deep conversations as something that just happens naturally, but in reality, they follow the same principles as flow. A great conversation requires full presence and focus. If we are distracted, checking our phone, or thinking about something else, we do not engage deeply. But when we listen actively, ask thoughtful questions, and share openly, time seems to disappear, and the conversation becomes deeply rewarding. Flow in relationships also comes from shared challenges. Couples who do new and exciting things together, like traveling, learning a new skill, or working on a project, often feel more connected. The reason is simple. They are experiencing flow together. Applying flow to personal growth is another powerful way to improve life. Many people set goals for self-improvement but struggle to stay consistent. This is because most goals focus only on the end result instead of the process. For example, if someone sets a goal to lose weight, they might feel frustrated if progress is slow. But if they focus on the daily process, enjoying workouts, experimenting with healthy meals, tracking small improvements, the journey becomes engaging, and flow makes it easier to stay motivated. The same applies to mental growth. Meditation, journaling, and reading challenging books can all become flow activities when approached with the right mindset. Instead of forcing yourself to do them as a chore, see them as opportunities for deep engagement and curiosity. Even simple daily tasks can become flow experiences. Washing dishes, cleaning, or organizing can be boring if done mindlessly, but they can also be transformed into moments of deep focus. For example, when washing dishes, instead of rushing through, pay full attention to the water, the movements, the feeling of the soap. This turns a simple task into a form of active mindfulness. Many great thinkers, from scientists to writers, have used ordinary activities like walking or cleaning as moments for deep thought and creativity. Another powerful way to apply flow to life is through adventure and exploration. Trying new things, visiting new places, and stepping outside of comfort zones are all ways to trigger flow. Many people live on autopilot, doing the same things every day. But when we break routines and challenge ourselves with new experiences, the brain wakes up. This is why traveling to a new country or trying a completely new activity often feels exciting, because it naturally puts us in a flow state. To make life more engaging, we can actively seek novelty. This does not mean we need to travel the world. Even small changes, like taking a different route to work, trying a new food, or learning about an unfamiliar topic, can bring fresh energy into daily life. Ultimately, flow is about full engagement. Whether we are working, learning, exercising, spending time with loved ones, or simply doing daily tasks, the more we focus completely on what we are doing, the more enjoyable and meaningful life becomes. Next, we will explore how flow not only improves performance but also leads to deeper happiness and fulfillment. When we build a life around flow, we do not just become more productive, we become more alive. Flow and long-term happiness. Many people think happiness comes from external success. Getting a better job, earning more money, buying things, or achieving big goals. But research shows that happiness is not just about what we achieve. It is about how we experience life every day. And one of the best ways to create deep, lasting happiness is through flow. Happiness is not a single emotion. It is a combination of different feelings: joy, excitement, satisfaction, and even a sense of purpose. Many people chase happiness by trying to avoid discomfort or pain. They seek entertainment, distractions, and quick pleasures like watching TV, eating junk food, or scrolling through social media. But these things only bring short-term pleasure, not real fulfillment. Real happiness comes from engagement. It happens when we are fully involved in something meaningful, something that challenges us, excites us, and pushes us to grow. This is why flow is so powerful. It keeps us engaged in the present moment and helps us feel alive. Flow is one of the few states where happiness and performance go hand in hand. Normally, people think they have to choose between working hard and being happy. But in flow, these two things happen together. When we are deeply focused on a task we enjoy, we feel both productive and happy at the same time. One of the most interesting things about flow is that it makes even difficult challenges enjoyable. Most people try to avoid difficulty because they think struggle equals suffering. But in reality, the right kind of challenge, one that is at the edge of our abilities, makes life exciting. This is why athletes push themselves to train harder, why musicians practice for hours, and why artists spend years perfecting their craft. The challenge itself is what brings joy. People who experience flow regularly report higher levels of long-term happiness, creativity, and fulfillment. They are not just successful in their work, they also feel more meaning in life. This is because flow is closely connected to purpose. When we do things that truly matter to us, flow becomes easier to achieve, and life feels more rewarding. One of the best ways to increase long-term happiness is to design life around flow. This means choosing work that excites us, hobbies that challenge us, and goals that push us to grow. It also means reducing distractions and making time for deep, focused activities. Many people spend their free time in passive entertainment, watching TV, checking social media, or doing things that require little effort. These activities do not create real engagement, and over time, they lead to boredom and dissatisfaction. But when we replace passive activities with active engagement, learning, creating, building, or exploring, we feel more energized and alive. Another key to long-term happiness is having a sense of progress. Humans are wired to seek growth. When we feel stuck, we become frustrated. But when we see ourselves improving, even in small ways, we feel motivated and happy. This is why tracking progress is so important. Whether it is learning a skill, improving fitness, or working on a creative project, seeing our progress makes us feel good and keeps us engaged. Flow also helps in overcoming stress and anxiety. Many people struggle with overthinking and worrying about the future. But flow forces us to be fully present. When we are in flow, there is no space for negative thoughts, because our mind is completely focused on the task at hand. This is why people who experience flow regularly often feel less stressed and more emotionally balanced. Interestingly, flow is also connected to social happiness. Deep conversations, teamwork, and shared challenges create flow. This is why great friendships and relationships are often built through shared activities, whether it is working on a project together, playing a sport, or even just having a meaningful discussion. When people experience flow together, their bond becomes stronger. Another important aspect of happiness is having a purpose. Many people struggle with motivation because they do not feel connected to a deeper goal. Flow helps solve this problem by making us more engaged in meaningful activities. When we focus on things that truly matter to us, we naturally enter flow more often, and life feels more fulfilling. The key to making flow a regular part of life is to be intentional about it. It does not happen by accident. It happens when we design our environment, choose the right challenges, and remove distractions. When we do this, flow becomes a natural part of daily life, leading to greater success, creativity, and long-term happiness. Next, we will explore how flow is not just a tool for individuals, but also for teams, organizations, and even entire communities. Flow is not only about personal growth. It can also transform the way people work together and create extraordinary results. Flow and teamwork, how groups achieve the impossible. Flow is not just for individuals. It can also happen in groups, and when it does, it leads to extraordinary teamwork, creativity, and productivity. When a group experiences flow together, they become more connected, more efficient, and more innovative. This is why the best sports teams, creative teams, and business teams all rely on flow to perform at the highest level. Group flow happens when people are working together in perfect sync. Imagine a jazz band playing live music. Each musician is listening to the others, adjusting their timing, and reacting in real time. No one is thinking about their next move. They are simply flowing with the music. This is what group flow feels like. It is a state where communication becomes effortless, and everyone is in tune with each other. One of the key elements of group flow is shared goals. When everyone in a team is working toward the same goal, flow becomes easier. If people have different priorities or conflicting interests, it disrupts the flow state. But when a group has a common purpose and everyone is committed to achieving it, flow emerges naturally. This is why great teams always have a clear mission. Whether it is a company launching a new product, a film crew making a movie, or a sports team playing a championship match, having a shared goal is what keeps them in sync. Another important factor in group flow is deep listening. In everyday conversations, people often wait for their turn to speak rather than truly listening. But in flow, listening is active and continuous. Each person in the group is fully engaged with what others are saying or doing. They are not just reacting, they are anticipating, adjusting, and contributing in real time. This creates a rhythm where ideas and actions flow smoothly from one person to another. Clear communication is also essential. When teams experience flow, they use simple, direct communication. There is no need for long explanations or complicated instructions. Everyone understands what needs to be done, and they trust each other to do their part. This is why elite military units, high-performing sports teams, and great business teams all use short, clear commands instead of lengthy discussions. They eliminate confusion and focus on action. Another important aspect of group flow is trust. If people do not trust each other, they hold back. They second-guess their decisions, hesitate, and worry about making mistakes. But in a high-flow team, there is a deep sense of psychological safety. Everyone knows that their teammates have their back. They feel safe taking risks, making bold moves, and pushing their limits because they trust that the group will support them. This level of trust allows for faster decision-making. In a normal work environment, decisions often take a long time because people are afraid of making the wrong choice. They analyze every detail, discuss endlessly, and seek approval from multiple layers of management. But in a team that experiences flow, decisions happen quickly and naturally. Everyone is aligned, so there is no need for unnecessary debate. Instead of overthinking, they act with confidence and adjust as they go. Group flow also thrives on equal participation. If one person dominates the conversation or takes control of every decision, flow is disrupted. But when everyone contributes equally, the energy stays balanced. This is why the best teams encourage open collaboration. They make sure that every voice is heard, every idea is considered, and every member plays a role. Challenges and feedback are another key part of group flow. Just like individual flow, team flow requires a balance between skill and challenge. If the task is too easy, people get bored. If it is too hard, they become frustrated. The best teams push each other to improve without overwhelming each other. They provide instant feedback, helping their teammates adjust and grow in real time. Many of the world's most innovative companies and organizations design their work environments to encourage group flow. For example, companies like Google and Pixar create spaces where employees can easily collaborate, share ideas, and build off each other's energy. They remove unnecessary bureaucracy, encourage creative problem-solving, and allow people to experiment without fear of failure. Athletic teams also train specifically to develop group flow. Coaches design drills that improve synchronization, teamwork, and communication. They focus on building trust among players so that during a game, they can anticipate each other's moves without hesitation. This is why great sports teams often look like they are reading each other's minds. They are in a state of flow where actions happen seamlessly. Even in the military, special forces teams rely on flow to execute complex missions under extreme pressure. They train together until their movements, decisions, and communication become second nature. In a high-stakes situation, they do not have time to think. They rely on instinct, training, and trust in their teammates. One of the most fascinating aspects of group flow is how it affects creativity. When a team enters flow together, their creativity skyrockets. Ideas come faster, solutions appear more easily, and problems are solved with less effort. This is because flow removes the barriers to innovation. There is no fear of judgment, no hesitation, and no overthinking, just pure creative energy. Group flow is not just for professionals. It can happen in families, friendships, and even casual conversations. When people are deeply engaged in an activity together, whether it is playing a game, cooking a meal, or having an exciting discussion, they can experience flow. The key is to be fully present, actively listen, and share the experience with an open mind. The ability to create group flow is one of the most valuable skills in any field. Whether you are leading a team, working with colleagues, or just trying to build better relationships, understanding the principles of flow can help create deeper connections, increase productivity, and make teamwork more enjoyable. Up next, we will explore how flow is not just about work and performance. It is also a powerful tool for learning and personal growth. By understanding how to use flow in education and skill development, we can accelerate learning, improve memory, and master difficult subjects with less effort. Flow in learning: how to learn faster and retain more. Flow is not just for peak performance in work or sports. It is also a powerful tool for learning. When you are in flow, your brain processes information more efficiently, your memory improves, and your ability to master new skills increases. This is because flow engages deep focus, removes distractions, and keeps you fully present in the learning process. Most people struggle with learning because they approach it in a way that does not align with how the brain naturally absorbs information. They force themselves to memorize facts without context, study in environments full of distractions, and rely on inefficient methods like rote learning. But when learning is structured to create flow, it becomes enjoyable, effortless, and much more effective. One of the key elements of learning in flow is curiosity. The brain learns best when it is naturally curious about a topic. When something excites you, you do not have to force yourself to learn. It happens automatically. Think about a time when you became deeply interested in a subject, hobby, or skill. You probably lost track of time, absorbed information quickly, and retained it easily. That is flow in learning. This is why traditional education methods often fail to create lasting knowledge. Many schools focus on rigid structures, repetitive memorization, and standardized tests. But real learning happens when students are actively engaged, solving real problems, and pursuing knowledge that interests them. When you are genuinely curious, your brain releases dopamine, the neurotransmitter that drives motivation and helps reinforce learning. Another crucial factor in learning through flow is immediate feedback. The best way to improve any skill is to get instant feedback on your progress. If you are practicing a new language, for example, speaking with native speakers provides real-time correction and reinforcement. If you are learning an instrument, playing in front of an audience forces you to adjust in the moment. The faster the feedback loop, the quicker the learning. This is why video games are so effective at teaching new skills. Games are designed to provide continuous feedback. When you make a mistake, you immediately see the consequences. When you succeed, you are rewarded instantly. This keeps players engaged and motivated to keep improving. The same principle applies to any type of learning. The more immediate and clear the feedback, the faster the skill development. Another important element of flow in learning is the balance between challenge and skill. If something is too easy, your brain disengages and becomes bored. If it is too hard, you feel frustrated and give up. But when a task is just slightly beyond your current ability, it keeps you focused and motivated. This is why the best teachers, coaches, and trainers adjust the difficulty of lessons to keep students in the optimal learning zone. Consider how children learn to walk. At first, standing up is difficult, but they keep trying. Then they take small steps, fall, and try again. Each time they push just beyond their current ability, improving little by little. No one teaches them how to walk. They learn by constantly adjusting to the challenge. This natural learning process happens best in flow, where failure is seen as part of the journey, not a reason to quit. To create flow in learning, you must remove distractions. In today's world, people try to learn while checking their phones, browsing social media, or watching TV. But multitasking destroys focus and makes learning slower and less effective. Deep, uninterrupted concentration is essential for flow. This means setting up an environment where you can fully engage with what you are learning. Another powerful way to enhance learning in flow is through visualization. The brain does not fully distinguish between real and imagined experiences. Athletes use this technique to improve their skills by mentally rehearsing movements before performing them. Musicians do the same by imagining playing their instruments before actually touching them. By visualizing success and mentally practicing skills, learning becomes faster and more efficient. Sleep also plays a critical role in learning and memory retention. During deep sleep, the brain processes and consolidates new information. This is why pulling all-nighters to study is ineffective. Your brain needs rest to absorb what you have learned. Studies show that sleeping after learning something new significantly improves retention and recall. Repetition, when done correctly, is another essential part of learning in flow. Many people repeat information in a way that is passive and ineffective, like rereading notes or highlighting textbooks. But active repetition, practicing a skill, teaching it to someone else, or applying it in real situations, creates stronger connections in the brain. This is why hands-on learning is much more powerful than simply memorizing facts. Physical movement can also enhance learning. Studies show that exercising before or during learning improves focus, memory, and problem-solving skills. This is because physical activity increases blood flow to the brain, making it more alert and ready to absorb information. Many people find that taking a walk while listening to an audiobook or reviewing notes helps them retain information better. The final key to learning in flow is passion. If you love what you are learning, your brain naturally enters a state of flow. This is why some people spend hours practicing an instrument, writing, coding, or building something without feeling tired or distracted. Passion fuels deep learning, making the process enjoyable and effortless. When learning becomes a flow activity, mastery happens much faster. You absorb information more deeply, retain it longer, and apply it more effectively. Whether you are trying to learn a new language, improve your writing, master a sport, or gain expertise in any field, structuring your learning around flow principles can make the impossible feel easy. How flow is not just about improving skills, it can also transform creativity. By understanding how to enter a creative flow state, you can generate better ideas, think more innovatively, and unlock your full creative potential. Flow and creativity. How to unlock your most creative self. Creativity is often seen as a mysterious gift, something that some people are born with and others are not. But in reality, creativity is a skill that can be developed. Just like athletic performance or intelligence, creativity improves when you train it correctly. One of the best ways to enhance creativity is by using flow. When you are in a flow state, your mind becomes highly focused, ideas come more easily, and you can make unique connections between different pieces of knowledge. Many of history's greatest artists, scientists, and inventors worked in flow. They were able to create groundbreaking ideas, write incredible books, compose beautiful music, or make scientific discoveries because they knew how to get into this state. The good news is that flow is not limited to famous geniuses. It is something you can access too if you understand how to trigger it. To unlock creative flow, you need 3 key ingredients: deep focus, risk-taking, and a willingness to explore new ideas. Let's break each of these down. First, deep focus. Creativity does not happen when your mind is scattered. If you are constantly checking your phone, switching between tasks, or dealing with distractions, it is nearly impossible to enter flow. This is because your brain needs time to fully engage with an idea before creative insights appear. Studies show that the best ideas often come after at least 20 to 30 minutes of uninterrupted focus. If you want to tap into creative flow, you need to give yourself long periods of distraction-free time. This is why some of the most creative people in history, like Albert Einstein and Leonardo da Vinci, spent hours alone, thinking deeply about their work. They understood that creativity does not come from rushing. It comes from giving your mind the space to explore. To enter creative flow, find a quiet place, remove distractions, and allow your brain to dive deeply into a problem or idea. The second ingredient of creative flow is risk-taking. Many people struggle with creativity because they are afraid of making mistakes. They want their ideas to be perfect from the start, so they overthink everything and never take action. But creativity does not work this way. The best ideas often come from experimenting, failing, and trying again. Great artists and innovators understand this. A writer does not create a masterpiece on the first draft. A musician does not compose a perfect song in one attempt. A scientist does not make a discovery without facing failures along the way. Creativity requires you to take risks, push boundaries, and accept that failure is part of the process. One of the most effective ways to boost creative flow is to practice brainstorming without judgment. Instead of thinking, "Is this a good idea?" train yourself to generate as many ideas as possible without filtering them. Many of the greatest inventions in history started as wild, unrealistic ideas that eventually turned into something brilliant. If you want to be more creative, let yourself think freely and explore possibilities without immediately rejecting them. The third key to creative flow is a willingness to explore new ideas. Many people get stuck in creative blocks because they only think in familiar ways. But true creativity happens when you connect ideas from different areas of knowledge. This is why some of the most creative breakthroughs in history have come from people who combined ideas from completely different fields. For example, Steve Jobs revolutionized technology by combining computer science with design and calligraphy. Albert Einstein developed the theory of relativity by blending physics with deep imagination. Many of the best musicians create new sounds by mixing different styles of music. Creativity thrives when you expose yourself to a variety of ideas and allow them to merge in unexpected ways. One of the best ways to increase creativity is to feed your mind with new information. Read books outside your area of expertise, travel to new places, learn new skills, talk to different kinds of people. The more diverse experiences you have, the more creative connections your brain can make. Creativity is not just about coming up with new ideas from nowhere. It is about taking existing ideas and combining them in ways that no one has thought of before. Another way to enter creative flow is to change your environment. Sometimes, simply working in a new space can unlock fresh ideas. This is why many writers, artists, and entrepreneurs travel or change their workspace when they feel stuck. A new environment stimulates the brain and helps it see things from a different perspective. Physical movement also plays a role in creative flow. Studies show that walking can boost creative thinking. This is because movement increases blood flow to the brain and helps generate new ideas. Many famous thinkers like Charles Darwin and Friedrich Nietzsche used long walks as part of their creative process. If you feel stuck, taking a walk or doing light exercise can help your mind break through creative blocks. Another important factor in creative flow is mood. People often think that stress and pressure lead to creativity, but in reality, creativity thrives when you are in a relaxed and playful state. When you are stressed, your brain focuses on survival, not on new ideas. But when you are relaxed and in a positive mood, your brain is more open to exploring possibilities and making creative connections. This is why play is such an important part of creativity. Many of the world's greatest innovations were born from people playing with ideas, experimenting, and having fun with their work. If you want to boost creative flow, give yourself permission to play. Try new things. Explore without pressure, and enjoy the process rather than focusing only on the outcome. Finally, sleep is crucial for creativity. Many creative insights happen when the brain is resting. This is because, during sleep, the brain organizes and connects ideas in ways that do not happen when you are awake. Some of history's most famous discoveries came from dreams, like the structure of DNA or some of the greatest musical compositions. If you are trying to solve a creative problem, sometimes the best thing you can do is step away, rest, and let your brain process ideas in the background. When you combine these elements, deep focus, risk-taking, openness to new ideas, movement, play, and rest, you create the perfect conditions for creative flow. This is how the most innovative minds in history have worked. Creativity is not about waiting for inspiration to strike. It is about creating an environment where inspiration happens naturally. Flow and resilience, how to push through challenges and keep going. Life is full of obstacles. No matter what goal you are trying to achieve, you will face setbacks, difficulties, and moments when things do not go as planned. The difference between those who succeed and those who give up is resilience, the ability to keep going, even when things get hard. Resilience is not something you are born with. It is something you develop over time. And one of the most powerful tools for building resilience is flow. Flow helps you push through challenges because it changes the way your brain reacts to difficulty. Normally, when people face problems, they experience stress, frustration, and doubt. They start thinking, maybe I am not good enough, or maybe this is too hard for me. These thoughts create fear, and fear makes people give up. But when you enter flow, your brain stops overthinking. Instead of focusing on fear or failure, you become completely absorbed in the task. You stop worrying about what might go wrong and start focusing on what you can do right now. This is why athletes, musicians, and top performers rely on flow during competitions. When they enter flow, they do not let failure distract them. If they make a mistake, they quickly recover and keep going. They do not stop to dwell on what went wrong because their focus is locked on the present moment. This ability to stay focused and keep moving forward is what makes them successful. One of the key reasons flow builds resilience is that it turns obstacles into challenges rather than threats. When people are outside of flow, they see problems as threats, something dangerous that might stop them from reaching their goals. But in flow, obstacles feel like exciting challenges. Instead of thinking, this is impossible, your brain thinks, how can I solve this? This shift in mindset is incredibly powerful because it keeps you motivated even when things get tough. For example, imagine you are working on a difficult project. Without flow, every small problem might feel overwhelming. You might feel discouraged and want to quit. But in flow, your brain sees each problem as a puzzle to solve. You become curious instead of frustrated. Instead of giving up, you feel a sense of determination to figure it out. This is why people who regularly enter flow develop a never give up attitude. They have trained their minds to keep going no matter what challenges appear. Another way flow builds resilience is by helping you develop a growth mindset. A growth mindset is the belief that skills and abilities can improve with effort. People with a fixed mindset believe that talent is something you either have or do not have. If they fail at something, they think, I am just not good at this, and give up. But people with a growth mindset believe that failure is just part of learning. If they fail, they think, I just need to practice more, or I can get better if I keep trying. Flow naturally strengthens a growth mindset because it makes learning feel rewarding. When you are in flow, your brain releases dopamine, a chemical that makes you feel good and keeps you motivated. This means that even when you face challenges, your brain stays engaged and focused instead of feeling discouraged. Over time, this trains your mind to enjoy the process of learning, even when it is difficult. One of the best examples of resilience through flow comes from extreme athletes. These athletes constantly put themselves in situations where failure is not just possible, it is guaranteed. A rock climber falls hundreds of times before mastering a new route. A skateboarder tries the same trick for weeks before landing it perfectly. If they gave up after a few failures, they would never improve. But because they train in flow, they learn to see failure as part of progress. They do not get frustrated. They do not lose motivation. Instead, they keep adjusting, trying again, and improving. This lesson applies to everything in life, not just sports. Whether you are learning a new skill, building a business, or pursuing a creative passion, you will face failure along the way. But if you train yourself to enter flow, you will not let failure stop you. You will stay focused, adapt to challenges, and keep moving forward. There is another important way flow helps you stay resilient. It reduces stress. Stress is one of the biggest reasons people give up on their goals. When you are overwhelmed with stress, your brain goes into survival mode. Instead of thinking clearly, you feel anxious, stuck, and unable to move forward. But when you enter flow, stress disappears. Your brain releases chemicals that make you feel calm, focused, and in control. Even in high-pressure situations, flow allows you to stay centered and perform at your best. Think about firefighters or emergency doctors. They work in extreme situations where every second matters. If they panic under pressure, they cannot do their jobs. But they train themselves to stay in flow so they can think clearly, react quickly, and make the right decisions. This ability to stay calm under pressure is not just useful in life or death situations. It is something everyone can benefit from. Whether you are facing a tough exam, an important presentation, or a personal challenge, learning to enter flow will help you stay strong and perform well under pressure. Another key part of resilience is finding meaning in what you do. People who are the most resilient are not just motivated by external rewards like money or recognition. They are driven by something deeper, a sense of purpose. Flow helps you connect with this purpose because it makes work feel meaningful. When you are fully engaged in an activity, you feel a sense of deep satisfaction. You are not just working for a paycheck or approval from others. You are working because you love the process itself. This is why people who regularly experience flow are more likely to achieve their long-term goals. They do not rely on motivation alone. Motivation can fade, but when you build a habit of working in flow, you no longer need motivation to keep going. The process itself becomes enjoyable, and that keeps you moving forward even when things are tough. So how can you use flow to build resilience in your own life? The first step is to train yourself to stay focused under pressure. The next time you face a challenge, pay attention to how your mind reacts. If you start feeling frustrated or discouraged, shift your focus back to the task itself. Remind yourself that obstacles are not roadblocks. They are part of the process. The second step is to embrace small failures. Do not see them as proof that you are not good enough. Instead, see them as feedback. Every mistake is an opportunity to learn. The most successful people in the world are not the ones who never fail. They are the ones who fail, learn, and try again. The third step is to practice deep work. Set aside time every day to fully engage in your work without distractions. The more you train yourself to enter flow, the stronger your ability to handle challenges will become. The final step is to connect with your purpose. Find what truly excites you and makes you come alive. When you are passionate about what you do, resilience becomes natural. You do not need to force yourself to keep going. Your love for the process will drive you forward. By training yourself to enter flow, you will develop the mindset, focus, and determination needed to overcome any challenge. Instead of avoiding difficulty, you will welcome it as a chance to grow. Instead of giving up when things get tough, you will push forward with confidence. This is how flow transforms ordinary people into extraordinary achievers. The role of environment in peak performance and flow. Your environment plays a huge role in your ability to reach peak performance. Many people think success is only about personal effort, talent, or motivation. But the truth is, your surroundings, both physical and mental, affect how well you can focus, learn, and perform. If your environment is full of distractions, stress, or negativity, it becomes much harder to enter flow and stay in a high-performance state. However, if you shape your environment in the right way, you can make success feel natural and effortless. One of the first things to consider is your physical space. Look at where you work, study, or practice your skills. Is it a place that helps you focus, or is it full of distractions? The brain is highly sensitive to what is around it. If your space is cluttered, noisy, or chaotic, your mind will struggle to concentrate. On the other hand, if you create a space that is organized, quiet, and free from distractions, your brain will find it much easier to enter deep focus. Top performers in every field carefully design their workspaces to help them get into flow faster. Writers, for example, often have a specific desk where they do nothing but write. Athletes train in environments that are free from unnecessary distractions. Musicians set up practice spaces where everything they need is within reach. By controlling their environment, they make it easier to get into the right mindset for peak performance. One simple change that can make a big difference is reducing digital distractions. Today, many people struggle with focus because they are constantly interrupted by notifications, messages, and social media. Every time your phone buzzes, it pulls your attention away from deep work. Even if you check it for just a few seconds, it can take several minutes for your brain to fully refocus. This is why some of the most productive people in the world have strict rules about their digital environment. They turn off notifications, set their phones to silent, or even keep them in another room while working. Another important factor is time management. Your schedule affects your ability to enter flow. If your day is filled with constant interruptions, meetings, or tasks that require switching between different types of work, your brain never has the chance to get into a deep state of focus. To perform at your best, you need long, uninterrupted blocks of time to fully immerse yourself in a task. Studies show that it takes about 15 to 20 minutes to enter a deep focus state, but a single interruption can reset that process. This is why many high achievers structure their day to maximize flow. Some people follow a schedule called time blocking, where they dedicate specific hours of the day to deep work with no distractions. Others use techniques like the 90-minute rule, where they work in focused 90-minute sessions followed by a short break. The key is to find a rhythm that allows your brain to fully engage with a task without being constantly pulled in different directions. Your mental environment is just as important as your physical surroundings. The thoughts and beliefs you surround yourself with can either help you or hold you back. If you are constantly exposed to negativity, doubt, or low expectations, it becomes harder to push yourself toward big goals. But if you create an environment filled with positive challenges, encouragement, and high standards, you naturally start aiming higher. This is why the people you spend time with matter. If you are surrounded by people who are lazy, unmotivated, or always complaining, their mindset will influence you. On the other hand, if you spend time with people who are ambitious, hardworking, and focused, their energy will push you to do better. Successful people often say, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." This means that if you want to reach peak performance, you need to be careful about who you allow into your mental environment. One way to improve your mental environment is by surrounding yourself with inspiring content. Read books that challenge you to think bigger. Listen to interviews with top performers in your field. Watch documentaries about people who have achieved great things. When you fill your mind with stories of success, you start to believe that bigger things are possible for you as well. Another important part of shaping your mental environment is setting clear goals. Your brain needs a sense of direction. If you do not have clear goals, it is easy to waste time on unimportant things. But when you set specific, meaningful goals, your mind becomes focused and motivated. One way to do this is by using a technique called goal stacking. This means setting different levels of goals, small daily goals, medium-term goals, and long-term goals. Small goals help you build momentum, medium-term goals keep you on track, and long-term goals give you a sense of purpose. Routines and habits also play a big role in shaping your environment. If you build daily habits that support high performance, success becomes automatic. For example, many top performers have morning routines that help them start the day in the right mindset. They might exercise, meditate, read, or plan their day before jumping into work. These routines create a sense of control and focus that carries through the rest of the day. Even small changes to your environment can have a big impact. Something as simple as adjusting the lighting in your workspace, playing background music that helps you concentrate, or keeping a water bottle nearby to stay hydrated can improve your ability to focus and perform. The key is to experiment and find what works best for you. Another powerful way to shape your environment is by using pre-commitment. This means setting up your space in a way that makes good habits easier and bad habits harder. If you want to write more, leave a notebook or computer open to your writing page. If you want to exercise regularly, keep your workout clothes ready the night before. If you want to reduce distractions, remove tempting apps from your phone or use website blockers. These small adjustments make it easier to stay on track without relying on willpower alone. Peak performance is not just about working harder, it is about working smarter. And one of the smartest things you can do is design an environment that naturally leads to success. By controlling your physical space, managing your time effectively, surrounding yourself with the right people, and setting up routines that support your goals, you can make it much easier to enter flow and perform at your highest level. The best part is that once you set up the right environment, everything becomes easier. You do not have to force yourself to focus because your surroundings naturally support deep work. You do not have to struggle with motivation because your environment keeps you inspired. And you do not have to rely on willpower because you have designed a system that makes peak performance a natural outcome. Understanding the power of your environment is one of the most important steps in mastering the art of impossible. When you take control of your surroundings, you take control of your potential. The role of recovery and rest in peak performance. Most people believe that to reach peak performance, they need to push harder, work longer, and sacrifice sleep. They think success comes from never stopping, always grinding, and pushing through exhaustion. But this is not how the brain and body actually work. High performance is not just about effort, it is about balance. And one of the most overlooked parts of achieving the impossible is recovery. Recovery is the secret weapon of peak performers. It is what allows the brain and body to rebuild, recharge, and come back stronger. Without recovery, performance declines, motivation fades, and burnout becomes a real risk. The best athletes, business leaders, and creative minds in the world do not just work hard, they recover just as intentionally. They understand that rest is not a sign of weakness. It is a tool for reaching the highest levels of performance. One of the most important forms of recovery is sleep. Sleep is not just about getting enough hours. It is about getting high-quality, deep sleep that restores the brain. During sleep, the body repairs itself, the brain processes information, and memories become stronger. Studies show that deep sleep improves focus, creativity, problem-solving, and emotional control. Without good sleep, everything becomes harder. Learning slows down, reaction times decrease, and stress increases. Many top performers treat sleep like a non-negotiable part of their success. They create nighttime routines that help them wind down. They avoid screens before bed, keep their sleeping environment cool and dark, and go to sleep at the same time every night. These small habits make a big difference. Just one night of poor sleep can reduce cognitive function by more than 30%. But consistent, high-quality sleep gives the brain the power it needs to enter flow states and sustain peak performance over time. Another key part of recovery is active rest. This means taking breaks throughout the day to reset the mind and body. The human brain is not designed to focus non-stop for hours without rest. Research shows that after about 90 minutes of intense focus, performance starts to drop. The brain needs short recovery periods to stay sharp. This is why techniques like the Pomodoro method, working in 25 to 50-minute blocks followed by short breaks, are so effective. Active rest can take many forms. It could be stepping away from work for a quick walk, practicing deep breathing, stretching, or even doing something creative like listening to music or doodling. These small breaks help reduce mental fatigue and make it easier to stay in flow for longer periods. Some of the greatest breakthroughs in science, business, and the arts have come when people stepped away from their work and let their minds rest. Exercise is another powerful recovery tool. Physical movement helps reduce stress, improve mood, and increase energy levels. It also helps the brain function at its best. Studies show that regular exercise boosts memory, speeds up learning, and increases creativity. Many top performers make movement a daily habit, not just for physical health but for mental clarity and focus. There is also emotional recovery. High performance is not just about skill and effort, it is also about managing stress and emotions effectively. If you are constantly overwhelmed, anxious, or frustrated, it becomes much harder to enter flow and perform at your best. This is why activities like meditation, journaling, and mindfulness can be so valuable. They help clear the mind, reduce mental clutter, and create a sense of inner balance. Meditation, for example, has been used by some of the most successful people in the world, from athletes to CEOs to artists. It helps train the brain to focus, stay calm under pressure, and recover faster from setbacks. Even just 5 to 10 minutes of meditation a day can improve concentration, decision-making, and emotional resilience. Journaling is another tool that can help with recovery. Writing down thoughts, reflections, or ideas can help clear mental noise and reduce stress. Some people use journaling to plan their day, track their progress, or work through challenges. Others use it as a way to express gratitude, which has been shown to improve mental well-being and motivation. One of the biggest mistakes people make is ignoring recovery until they burn out. They think they can keep pushing forever, but eventually the body and mind reach a limit. Burnout is not just feeling tired. It is a state where motivation disappears, creativity shuts down, and even simple tasks feel overwhelming. The best way to prevent burnout is to make recovery a daily practice, not just something you do when you are already exhausted. Another overlooked aspect of recovery is social connection. Humans are wired to connect with others. Spending time with supportive friends, family, or mentors can be one of the most effective ways to recharge. Studies show that strong social connections reduce stress, boost happiness, and even improve cognitive function. When people isolate themselves too much, their mental and emotional energy declines. But when they make time for meaningful relationships, they feel more balanced, focused, and motivated. Nature is also a powerful recovery tool. Spending time outdoors, even for a short walk, has been shown to improve mood, reduce stress, and boost creativity. The brain responds differently to natural environments compared to urban or digital spaces. Being in nature helps reset the nervous system, making it easier to relax and refocus. All of these forms of recovery, sleep, active rest, exercise, meditation, journaling, social connection, and nature, are not just nice-to-have extras. They are essential parts of peak performance. The human brain and body function best when there is a balance between effort and recovery. When you recover well, you can push harder, focus longer, and perform at a higher level without burning out. Some of the world's best performers think of recovery the same way they think of training. They do not see it as laziness. They see it as part of the process. Just like athletes schedule rest days to allow their muscles to grow stronger, high achievers schedule recovery to allow their minds to stay sharp. The biggest lesson here is that recovery is not the opposite of hard work. It is what makes hard work sustainable. You cannot perform at your best if you are constantly exhausted, stressed, or mentally drained. But when you take care of your body and mind, you create the conditions for peak performance to happen naturally. This is one of the most powerful ideas in the science of achieving the impossible. It is not about pushing yourself to the edge until you collapse. It is about understanding how to manage your energy wisely so you can keep growing, learning, and achieving at the highest level for the long term. Lastly, we will mastering the art of the impossible. Achieving the impossible is not about luck or talent. It is about learning how to use the right tools, the right mindset, and the right strategies to unlock peak performance. Throughout this journey, we have explored motivation, learning, creativity, flow, and recovery. 5 key pillars that drive extraordinary success. Now, in this final part, we bring it all together. The biggest lesson in mastering the art of the impossible is understanding that peak performance is a process. It does not happen overnight. It is built over time through consistent effort, small improvements, and disciplined practice. It is not about giant leaps. It is about daily progress. When you apply the principles we have discussed, impossible goals start to look possible. One of the most important things to remember is that motivation is the starting point, but not the fuel that keeps you going. Motivation will help you take the first step, but after that, discipline and routine take over. The best performers in the world do not wait until they feel motivated. They have systems in place that keep them moving forward even on difficult days. They set clear goals, break them down into small steps, and build daily habits that keep them on track. Another key part of this journey is learning how to push yourself beyond your comfort zone. Growth happens at the edge of your abilities, not inside your comfort zone. This is why challenging yourself is so important. But there is a science to doing it right. You want to aim for what Steven Kotler calls the 4% challenge. This means pushing yourself just slightly beyond what you can currently do. Not so much that it feels overwhelming, but enough that you stay engaged and keep improving. This small, continuous push is what leads to breakthroughs. If you push too little, you do not grow. If you push too much, you risk burnout or failure. But when you find that balance, you enter a state where learning and progress happen naturally. Over time, what once seemed impossible becomes easy. The best way to stay on this path is by using deliberate practice. This is a technique used by top athletes, musicians, scientists, and performers in every field. Deliberate practice is different from just repeating something over and over. It is focused, structured, and designed to improve specific skills. It involves setting clear goals, getting immediate feedback, correcting mistakes, and constantly refining your approach. For example, if you are trying to improve your focus, you would not just sit and try to concentrate for hours. Instead, you would set short, intense periods of deep work, measure how long you can stay fully engaged, and gradually increase your ability to focus. If you are learning a new skill, you would break it down into small parts, practice each part separately, and then put everything together. Creativity is another tool that makes the impossible possible. Creativity is not something only artists and writers need. It is essential in every field. Innovation, problem-solving, and new ideas all come from creative thinking. But creativity does not just happen randomly. It is a skill that can be trained. The best way to boost creativity is by exposing yourself to new ideas, combining knowledge from different fields, and giving your mind space to wander. This is why taking breaks, spending time in nature, and doing activities outside your main work can lead to powerful insights. Some of the greatest breakthroughs in history happened when people stepped away from their work and let their subconscious mind take over. Another key element of high performance is mastering stress and fear. Fear is a natural response when facing big challenges, but it does not have to stop you. The best performers know how to turn fear into fuel. Instead of seeing fear as a signal to stop, they see it as a sign of growth. When something scares you, it often means you are on the right path. The key is learning how to manage fear so it does not control you. One powerful technique is reframing fear as excitement. Studies show that the brain reacts to fear and excitement in a similar way. By telling yourself, "I am excited," instead of, "I am scared," you can shift your mindset and take action with confidence. Another technique is controlled exposure. If something seems too big or too scary, break it down. Start with a small step. If you fear public speaking, practice in front of one person, then a small group, then a bigger audience. By gradually exposing yourself to challenges, your brain adapts, and fear loses its power. Building mental resilience is another skill that separates those who succeed from those who give up. Resilience is the ability to keep going, even when things get hard. It is about staying focused when progress is slow, bouncing back from failures, and maintaining belief in yourself when others doubt you. One way to build resilience is through a growth mindset. This means believing that abilities are not fixed, they can be developed with effort. People with a growth mindset see challenges as opportunities to improve, not as threats. They do not say, "I am not good at this." They say, "I am not good at this yet." This small shift in thinking makes a huge difference. Finally, the last piece of the puzzle is aligning your life with your purpose. The most fulfilled and successful people are not just working for money, fame, or status. They are working on something that deeply matters to them. Purpose gives you energy, drive, and direction. It makes the hard work feel meaningful. To find your purpose, ask yourself, what excites me? What problems do I want to solve? What impact do I want to have on the world? Your purpose does not have to be huge. It just has to be something that gives you a reason to keep going even when challenges arise. When you combine motivation, learning, creativity, flow, recovery, resilience, and purpose, you create a powerful system for achieving the impossible. You move beyond limits, break through barriers, and turn big dreams into reality. The path to peak performance is not easy, but it is possible for anyone willing to commit to the process. It is not about being perfect. It is about showing up every day, putting in the effort, and trusting that small improvements will lead to big results over time. The impossible is only impossible until someone proves otherwise. And with the right mindset, tools, and habits, that someone can be you.